I don't even know why I'm looking around. It's just me here. All right. My name is Anthony Rose, and this is my attempt to just provide some transparency, being a creative, being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, being somebody that has been in this industry for roughly 12, 13 years. And it's closer than ever, but it still feels like I'm figuring it out every day. And talking with friends, I often get told, share your story. More people want to hear it. I think that inner dialogue is oftentimes being like, but yeah, why you? Is it really a story? Everybody goes through a struggle. Everybody navigates this. But then the other side is like, nah, you're doing some dope stuff, and you continue to do some dope stuff. So if you're watching this, it's probably going to start off on your TV, your YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever new social media is out there. And then there's going to be a part of this, probably this part right here, where I'm on the big screen, sitting in a movie theater, watching you, watching me, watching you watch me. So hang on. It's an interesting ride. So tonight, I'm going to just talk and probably chop it up some clips, or it'll be a longer thing. So, as you see, I got snowflakes on the back because I just got back from my boy Jahan's birthday party, and then I had a good conversation with my guy Ron G, and he's like, man, just tell your story, bro. And so instead of waiting for the perfect moment, as I've often done over the years, I walked in my studio and sat down at the first set that was already lit, which is snowflakes. So yeah, I guess the first thing is entrepreneurship and being a creative. And I'll either document this series in a way where you're able to follow along after the fact, as to what's going on, or it'll just be quick clips. Anyways, getting to the point. Being an entrepreneur is hard. It's very hard. Being a creative is hard. Being somebody that prides themselves and tries to be integral, but is also empathetic and wants to work with people and loves the art and loves our people and melanated people, it's hard. But I know that you have to remind yourself that you're built for this and that there's nobody that's meant to do it like you. And all the cliche stuff, if God gives you a vision, he'll show you the end goal, but he's not going to show you the path. It is by far the biggest mental battle I think you'll ever have in life. You'll want to give up every day. You'll doubt yourself. You'll doubt people around you. It'll feel like a wildly twisted Game of Thrones in a Salvador Dali painting through multiple timelines. Like you don't know if you're coming or going, and who's there for you or who's there just for the ride. And then don't get to a point where you love somebody or want a relationship or see another life outside of creating, right? I came into this came to LA to create. I'm going to be one of the greatest directors of our times. I am going to utilize my artistic platform to influence the masses. And I know I can reach more people through media and arts than I can being in a classroom every day or being a lawyer or, maybe being a preacher. I mean, I was wrong. Look at TD Jakes. But I just love film. I've always visualized. I just always seen things vividly in pictures. I've always led with my heart. And I've always just had the ambition to work for myself and nobody else. I think the biggest part of it is as you are climbing a mountain, you know, you realize like you might start with a lot of gear at the bottom. And as you're going up to a higher altitude with less air, it's actually easier to climb with less gear, right? So by the time you get to the top, hopefully it's a sunny day, it's not cold. By the time you get to the top, you're realizing like, man, all that gear was weighing me down. And then you could see out further than you've ever seen before when you reach like what you think is your top or that project. And you can see out. And you're seeing lakes and trees and forests and towns and villages that you never had from the perspective of climbing up. Because when you're climbing up, I mean, this is God giving me this right now. I never have thought or said this in my life. As you're climbing up, you only see the trees or the branches or what you're stepping on. Don't step on a rock, don't slip, whatever. When you get through that, you need less gear and you can breathe and you look out and you're like, dang, I did it. I made this happen. I did this goal, you know, whatever. You see all the things you've never seen before. Now you realize like, oh, I could reach out and do that. I could reach out and do that. I want to explore that. There's always something new to go see. In order to go see it, you got to go back down the mountain. But this time you have knowledge. So on your way down, you're able to, if you're a solid one, tell the people coming up, hey, try this way on the pass, or go west and then go up, or avoid this rock, or there's water over here. And then you can pick up your other gear. And as you're picking up your gear, it might be some things that you don't need anymore. So you're able to give it away, right? And then you might pick up a few people along the way too that were trying to get with you to the top, but they're not ready to go all the way. So they're like, you know, we're gonna go back to the bottom with you, get our game back up. But then when you get to the bottom, you're able to give them resources to figure out how they can get up to the top on their own. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is. When I think about it, when I think about what like I want to do or what I'm doing is I just have this vision that God gave me that's been in my head to create environments to bring people together. Because you do a movie and you have thousands of people that watch something and have this core common thing that ties them together, these moments, the music, the acting, you know, the meet cutes, the drama, the laughs, that never know each other. And then what do we do, especially black folks? Oh man, you ain't seen the 5 Heartbeats? Oh man, that reminds me of this. Like I'm sharing gifts of like my office hours are 9 to 5, or you watch Martin. Like you have these commonalities that you create amongst people that would have never met each other, and you give them a reason to bond. And I think that's like the spirit of humanity. It's like we all want to figure out how we're connected, or how do we break down those barriers faster, right? And I think creating this dope, whether you're, you know, youth orchestra like it was when I was little, or you're tap dancers like my friends Chloe and Maud, or you're making movies, or you play sports, you have these shared moments that you just all work together, and it's a beautiful thing when it works, right? I think with entrepreneurship though, is like for the most part, 95% of the time you're doing it by yourself. You're quarterbacking, you're drawing up the play, you're the GM, you're, you know, figuring out the meals, you're figuring out the bills. And then when the play goes, you're able to get everybody together to run it, and it's a great experience. But I've learned though too is you don't always have to be alone, and you gotta ask for help. So in building this studio, you know, I did a lot of research. I had it on my heart for a few years, and then I got gun shy because you know, people were like, well, do you have clientele built in? Do you have this? And you never have it all figured out. And then shout out to Jarman and David De Jesus, Jarman Hauser. They've been my like business advisors. And then I really have to like shout out Nicole Wilson, who has just been a good friend since 5th grade, but somebody that like financially really believed in me, along with Jarman, who just was like, I got you, like, let's go. And you don't have to do it alone. And oftentimes black people, we try to do something and then we think we were alone, and then we don't ask for help, and we dig ourselves in a bigger hole. Like, just ask for help. So knowing that I have people like that like really have my back to impart their wisdom or just to believe, I'm gonna work. I'm gonna work hard I'm gonna work. And knowing that a lot of things that I've done have been successful. Like, I legit have the longest running live poetry show probably in the United States. For sure, Pacific Northwest, for sure, probably the West Coast. Retro Revolutionary Poets has been going since the first Monday of every month during the school year since 2001. Respect, educate, teach, reflect, observe the revolution. In order to be evolutionary, you gotta be revolutionary. And that still goes on. And it amazes me what it grew to. And I think that's a reminder of like, I have to remember that everything I'm doing for the most part, like, yeah, I'm doing it because I love it. It makes me feel good. And I want to create and I want to get these ideas out my head because my brain never turns off. And then that'll lead towards money to finance other things and to connect to other people. But it's not about me. It's always been about how do I do things to bring people together to do more good into the world? How do I get money so that way I can bless other people? So then when people are like, oh, what is it? I'm like, man, that's God. Like, that's not me. Like, God put that in me. God put it in my mom to be so generous as she's been with the little bit that she's always had, to always have a giving heart and spirit for other people. And that's me. I have nothing to do with how that has been into me. I do have to do a lot with how I choose to honor what's been there for me and to honor like what God's put in me and say, hey, look, like I might not be the biggest like Bible scripture preaching person, but I try to let my works and deeds and my generosity and my care for people show that. And oftentimes as an entrepreneur, you get bit in the ass. Like those you help. I remember I worked with Cat Williams in 2008. We did the Pimpin' tour. And I remember afterwards, I went to the studio or I went to his house. And I remember he was like, the people that I was paying are in the same position as the people I wasn't paying. And I'm like, well, that's not on you. That's on what people are doing. I was on the latter side, right? I was there for the experience to try to get deals done between him and Jeff and, work to get deal points. I didn't really understand what that was on the back end, but I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to produce. I was like, I know I'm around greatness. And it was like a bigger brother, little brother type of situation. I learned a lot. I was frustrated a lot, but I think that's just youth and stubbornness sometimes. And also knowing that like, I'm here to work with you, not for you. So I'm not a yes man. But he was like, the people that I was paying are in the same position as the people I wasn't paying. And I was like, well, that has to do with how they handle the opportunity. And he was just like, but I got to figure out how to help people better. And that's always stuck with me because I'm like, yeah, like it's not your responsibility, but when you have that in your spirit, I think there's a way. So I try to progress, like even with the studio space and We Are Entertainment. I'm always trying to figure out how do I help people be better than I found them? How do I pour into them in a way where like, not only if you get the opportunity, you're ready for it, right? And I learned a lot of that, like from Robert Townsend, and seeing how him and Lydia Nicole worked together and how he was working with producers and how he, everybody on set, he took under the wing. It was teachable moments. Like I learned a lot of my on-set respect and love and passion for just creativity through watching and working with him. So I know I've been on a little bit of a tangent, so I'm gonna have to do this on Opus AI. But yeah, I would say, I want to do more of these. But yeah, like just if this helped anybody overall, I hope it did. And I'm gonna just keep sharing the journey. That's really, the best thing I can do. So when I have quiet moments, I can do that. But I would, my advice is, if that idea is keeping you up at night, right? One of my main mottos is vision plus passion times action equals purpose. So the vision is like the thing you can't stop thinking about. Like if God is like, it's on your heart, it's in your mind, you just keep seeing it everywhere you go, right? Like, then figure out if you have a passion for it, because you keep seeing it for a reason. So the best thing to do is like, see if there's a passion for it. I think it's like love, right? Like we all want love, but we're all scared of it. Not for like the feeling it gives us when it's there, but I think ultimately as humans, we all know that like love is going to die. Like it's going to go away. Something's going to happen. I think in this age, it's always like, well, somebody's going to leave me, or they're going to break my heart, or they're going to cheat, or that, or it's not going to last, or does she love me? Does this person love me? Da da da. Am I loving them right? And then, so that's your vision. And the passion is like going into it, and you feel the passion. And then it's the action, though. So vision plus passion, right? If you're passionate about something, you got to put action behind it. If you have the vision and passion, right, you put action. So actionable love is, people talk about love languages, or if you have a project or have an idea, you always see in a picture, you go take a photo, put the action behind it. It's in doing the action and doing the work that you truly figure out what love is, that you truly figure out what art is, that you truly figure out if you love it or not. You got to give it a chance. And then it's your purpose, right? So you do that, and you put the vision plus passion, you put the action behind it, and it's in doing that. And you're just like, oh, like you ever have moments you're like, I could do this forever. I could do this for free. It's that like, oh, I really love this. Those are the things that like, you realize you found your purpose, or you're closer to it, right? And that's the same thing with love. Is like, for me, I know it's like if I'm walking around the mall and I'm like, my nieces would love that, right? Or, the girl I'm talking to, or like, I'm like, you know what, that would look good on her. I would have like those thoughtful things that you're like, oh, who is this guy? I'm like, oh man, I haven't been here in a minute. That's the love. And you show it. And that's the same thing with love for art. You show it. And it's hard to show it because when you're passionate about something, I think it's easy not to have fear that it's ever going to go away, because you're so passionate. So when you're passionate, you're like, I don't care, it's not going to fail. I know it's going to work. And you got to be relentless in that way, in what you can control. And then purpose. And I think true purpose is finding out that, like, you know what? The purpose is understanding, another cliche is like, what's for you is for you. Like, God's already figured it out. So sometimes it's not like sit back and relax, but it's like, just know it's yours already. Like, know that it's going to happen. And I think you're in a vibe and you're doing all that you can for something when you're like, oh, I know this love isn't going to leave me, or I know this project is going to work, or I know the right person. I had a sound op drop off, and then something's going to happen. And somebody calls you like, oh yeah, I do sound. I mean, that's how I met my DP, Dahlia. We were on a 48-hour film challenge, and it was like, dang, we need a DP. And the dude that was storyboard, I was like, oh, she DPs, just like that. So I guess all that being said is like, God will give you all the resources that you need, but oftentimes also as an entrepreneur, they might be right there. And I think we're so busy like grasping to get to that next level that sometimes those people that were going up the mountain with you, look to your right, look to your left, and maybe go up together. Try your best. They might not want to look out to the north at the lakes. They might want to look back here and look at the mountains and all that. And you could have different like ideas of what your peak is, but you could still go there together. But you gotta climb with people that are just as passionate as you, or that are there because they simply want to see you win. There are some people that just want to see businesses win. I think that's what angel investors are. I'm still trying to figure out the VC, angel investor role and all that, but I know they're dope people, like the Judy Robinettes of the world. Like, they're dope people, and I think they just want to champion. I remember I met Judy Robinette, Dee Burgess, and I think her name was, the lady's name was Kay Koplovitz. 2013 South by Southwest. And I remember she looked at me and she was like, I'm not really in the film world, but I really want to champion women-owned and minority-owned ideas and projects. That's my passion. And I'm like, wow, there's people like that really exist. That's great. And I think that's what it is. Sometimes it's finding those pieces, and it's treating them right when you find them, holding on to them, and building. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I'm tired. But don't give up on your dream. The mental battle is tough, but you could definitely do it. And do things that are feeding your life more than it's taken away. Wake up, maybe read a Bible passage. I gotta do better at that. Talk to God. Talk to God a lot. Try to meditate. Work out. That's my meditation. I feel like working out is like me honoring the fact that God gave me a body that works far past proficient, and I'm thankful for it. So the best thing I can do is keep it in shape. And I fall off sometimes. Yeah. This was a really honest conversation. Well, if you watched to the end, I appreciate you. Appreciate the support. But either way, yeah, Elevate Studios, we're in Van Nuys. We are ENT, film, creative storytelling, branded content, DEI competency, cultural competency. I can sell water to a well. And now I got a camera and lights, and I know how to do that too. Like, let's go. Stay tuned for more. This is, doesn't have a title. Keep elevating.